And protesters calling for the resignation of Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev have clashed with police in Vladivostok after opposition leader Alexei Navalny urged people to take to the streets in several cities to demonstrate against corruption. Local media reported that 11 protesters were arrested in the country's far east capital, where hundreds of protesters had gathered. In Moscow, police in riot gear started detaining anti-Kremlin protesters in the central Pushkin Square while using loud hailers to tell them to disperse. At least 1,000 protesters started to move from the square towards the Kremlin, but their path was blocked by police barriers put in place as part of Festival of Historical Costumes on Veskaya Street, that's Moscow's central thoroughfare. And despite her move to form a minority government, pressure is mounting on British Prime Minister Theresa May to resign after Thursday's election results saw the Conservative Party lose its ruling majority in the House of Commons. Andrew Macleod, a visiting professor at the Policy Institute, King's College, London, joins us now via Skype to talk more about this. Thank you very much indeed for joining us this time. Well,
my pleasure.
Yeah, apparently, Theresa May calling for the elections earlier than they were supposed to be would appear that she shot herself in the foot, didn't she?
She absolutely did, and there's a wonderful little meme going around on Twitter saying secret x-ray of Theresa May's foot showing the bones and a pistol and a bullet going through it. And I think that's exactly right. You cannot dress this result up in any way other than a political catastrophe for the Prime Minister.
And now quite a number of the Tories lost the parliamentary elections. Now, how does this help the cause of Theresa May and the Conservatives?
I think that let's look a little bit deeper behind that, because Theresa May actually increased the votes of the Conservative Party, but the Labor Party also increased its votes. What you've seen unusually in the British election this time is the minor parties have lost. UKIP lost a lot of seats, all their seats. The Liberal Democrats lost their seats. The Conservatives won a lot of seats back in Scotland. So you're seeing Britain going from a multi-party parliament to a bicameral parliament, mainly just two major seats. So although she's lost her majority, it's not as bad as it first looks on first blush. Like, she only had a majority just over a couple of dozen, so she hasn't lost that many seats, but she has lost the majority. Now, what does it mean for the Conservatives? That's a very, very good question. I think a lot of people are going to be angry. You don't go to an election 3 years before it's due unless you're definitely going to win by a long way. So it was a very poor political judgment, but more importantly, it was a very poorly ran campaign. So I think a lot of the political people will be looking at Theresa May and saying, it wasn't just the big picture of which seats were won and which seats were lost. It's that you ran a bad campaign and you didn't show any empathy with the voters. And in that way, Theresa May was a lot like Hillary Clinton.
All right. Now, of course, Theresa May is angling to have a coalition with the DUP from Scotland. What concessions, in your opinion, do you think that DUP might seek?
Well, let me just correct you up there. DUP is from Northern Ireland, not from Scotland.
I beg your pardon. Thank you very much.
Very important difference, because if we look at the Good Friday peace process in Northern Ireland, which has kept the peace and got rid of the IRA as a terrorist group bombing parts of London, a vital part of the Good Friday Agreement is a so-called soft border, no customs points between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. Now, Ireland, the Republic of Ireland, is staying in the European Union. The United Kingdom is going to leave the European Union, and the so-called hard Brexit of many of the Conservatives requires Britain to also leave the customs union. Now, if you leave the customs union, how can you possibly have a soft border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland when there's a hard Brexit? If you were to have a soft border between the Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, you've then got to have a hard border between the Republic of Ireland and the rest of the United Kingdom, and that's not workable either. So in many ways, the partnership with the DUP is interesting, because the DUP is the Democratic Unionist Party. they are on one side of the Northern Ireland peace process, the unionist, not the Republican side like the IRA. So no longer can the British government play the neutral arbiter between the Republicans and the Unionists if they are so closely aligned with the Unionists. So actually, this union, this coalition between the DUP and the Conservative Party is a real threat to the Good Friday peace process. And indeed, leaving the European Union is a threat to the Good Friday peace process because of that requirement of a soft border. The last thing I'll say on this is, as part of the Good Friday peace process, it was recognised that if the political parties thought there might be a reasonable chance of a referendum winning, then the people of Northern Ireland would go to a referendum to decide their future, either stay within the United Kingdom or join the Republic of Ireland. That's now got to be a live question on the table, and the British government can no longer be neutral in this because the British government will be in coalition with the Democratic Unionists, which is one side of the dispute in Northern Ireland.
Well, Andrew, since the election that many of the Tories have considered a disaster, there have been increasing calls for Theresa May to resign. Do you think that Theresa May will quit?
No, not in the short term. And you'll remember there were some rough times in the early parts of Margaret Thatcher's government as well, up until when they had the Falklands War. There was real question about whether Margaret Thatcher would survive her full first term as well. So I don't think Theresa May will be asked to quit or will quit straight away. But I'll tell you one thing that's sure, she's got no political capital to expend. She's got no room for error. She's got no ability to make any more mistakes, or the knives will come out. The knives will be sharpened very, very quickly. So I don't think there will be an immediate push, but boy, is she on notice.
Andrew Macleod, a visiting professor at the Policy Institute, King's College, London. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
Thank you.